Supergirl versus Rogue, the definitive power analysis. To determine who wins between Supergirl and Rogue, we must look past the spectacle and analyze the fundamental physics of their powers. Supergirl is a solar battery. Her cells undergo a process called supercellular respiration, converting yellow sun radiation into physical force. Rogue's mutant ability is essentially a biological vacuum, capable of siphoning the psyche energy and physical templates of any living being she touches. The first major factor in this breakdown is power density. Supergirl's energy output is measured on a planetary scale. Rogue's capacity to absorb is vast, but it is not infinite. There is a biological buffer limit to how much energy she can process at once. In a battle of pure speed, Supergirl moves at significant fractions of the speed of light, meaning Rogue cannot react to her movements. However, Rogue's primary advantage is tactical contact. She only needs a millisecond of skin-to-skin contact to bypass Supergirl's invulnerability. When Rogue touches a Kryptonian, she doesn't just take their strength, she gains the genetic instruction manual for their powers. The critical breakdown point occurs here. Rogue gains the powers, but she does not gain the solar battery history that Kara possesses. Supergirl has spent years perfecting her bioelectric aura, a field that protects her clothes and skin from damage. Rogue's touch must penetrate this aura, which acts as a secondary defensive layer before her mutant ability can even activate. Analysis of Rogue's history shows that absorbing too much power from a high-tier source can cause a psychic overload. Supergirl is trained in Clercore, an ancient Kryptonian martial art designed to use an opponent's momentum against them. Rogue relies heavily on brawling and the powers she has currently borrowed, which makes her fighting style unpredictable but less refined. A key variable is Supergirl's freeze breath, a long-range attack that allows her to incapacitate Rogue without ever coming into physical contact. If Rogue is frozen, she cannot use her touch. Her mutant power requires heat and life force flow, which are slowed by sub-zero temperatures. Furthermore, Supergirl possesses heat vision, which can be used with surgical precision from miles away. Rogue's durability is high, but it is not Kryptonian tier unless she has already touched someone like Wonder Woman or Supergirl. If we analyze a maximum drain scenario, Rogue would potentially become as strong as Supergirl, but she would also inherit Supergirl's weaknesses. Supergirl, born and raised on a high-gravity planet, has a denser bone and muscle structure that exists even without solar power. Rogue's human physiology remains her base state. Once the stolen energy is spent, she reverts to a standard human level of durability. In a battle of attrition, Supergirl's yellow sun healing factor allows her to recover from injuries in seconds as long as she is under sunlight. Rogue does not possess a natural healing factor. She must steal one to survive a prolonged bloody engagement. Supergirl's super hearing allows her to track Rogue's heartbeat and movements through solid walls, making a sneak attack almost impossible. The analysis of their psychology shows that Supergirl is a protector by nature, while Rogue is a survivor. This influences their combat choices. Kryptonian Torquazumvo is a mental martial art that Supergirl can use to resist the psychic aspects of Rogue's absorption. This means Supergirl could potentially allow a touch while shielding her mind from the memory theft that usually stuns Rogue's victims. Rogue's greatest feat, absorbing the powers of the Avengers or the X-Men, always comes with the cost of her own identity fading. Supergirl's identity is anchored by her Kryptonian heritage and the Kent family's upbringing, making her more mentally stable in a high-power clash. When analyzing environmental control, Supergirl can fly Rogue into the upper atmosphere, where the air is thin and Rogue's human lungs will fail. Even if Rogue has absorbed Supergirl's strength, she might not have the Kryptonian intuition to navigate flight at Mach 10. Supergirl's X-ray vision allows her to see Rogue's nervous system, letting her target non-lethal pressure points with extreme accuracy. Rogue's biofield is her only defense against these strikes, but it is much weaker than the Kryptonian aura. If Rogue manages to fully drain Supergirl, she becomes a Kryptonian mutant hybrid, the most dangerous being on the planet for approximately 10 minutes. The duration of power is the most significant disadvantage for Rogue in this deep dive analysis. Supergirl's power is a constant state of being. She doesn't run out as long as the sun is in the sky. Rogue is essentially a mirror match fighter. She is only as strong as the person she is fighting, plus her own base attributes. However, Supergirl has fought her own duplicates and has won through superior strategy and heart. Supergirl's super speed also applies to her thinking. She can process 1,000,000 tactical scenarios in the time it takes Rogue to blink. Rogue is a tactical genius within the X-Men, but her mind is human speed unless she has absorbed a speedster's consciousness. One major weakness for Supergirl is her solar flare, an explosion of all her stored energy that leaves her powerless for 24 hours. If she uses this against Rogue, Rogue might absorb the flare itself, becoming an unstoppable living bomb of solar energy. But the risk for Rogue is that her body would likely disintegrate under that much raw power before she could use it. Therefore, the smartest strategy for Supergirl is long-distance containment, never letting Rogue get within arm's reach. Rogue's best counter is environmental deception, hiding her presence or using a distraction to get the jump on Kara. If Rogue gets the jump, she can perform a total drain, leaving Supergirl unconscious and potentially in a coma. But Supergirl's super senses make a jump almost impossible to execute against a Kryptonian. In the combat breakdown, Supergirl wins 8 out of 10 times due to her range, speed, and the power ceiling Rogue faces. Rogue's wins occur in scenarios where the fight is in close quarters or Supergirl is holding back too much out of mercy. The energy type analysis shows that Kryptonian energy is solar-derived, while Rogue's absorption is life force-derived. This distinction is vital. Rogue isn't just taking electricity, she is taking the very spark of Kara's alien soul. Supergirl's willpower, however, is legendary. She has resisted the anti-life equation and the Black Lantern rings. Rogue's will is also strong, having lived for years with the fragmented minds of others inside her own head. But in a direct willpower clash, the scale of a Kryptonian mental discipline often outweighs the mutant's endurance. When we analyze their combat history, Supergirl has defeated cosmic-level entities like the World Killers. Rogue has taken down the likes of Miss Marvel and Juggernaut, proving she can punch way above her weight class. The final verdict rests on the sun factor. If the fight happens near a yellow sun, Supergirl is effectively a goddess. Rogue is a powerhouse, but she is a theft-based fighter. Without a power source to steal from, she is vulnerable. Therefore, the deep dive conclusion is that Supergirl's natural, constant, and massive power scale secures her the win. Rogue may take the power for a moment, but Supergirl is the power, and that makes all the difference.
Don't forget to like, follow, share, and subscribe so you never miss the next epic showdown.